times, and I'm going to be, okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about Sunday, huh? 9:30? Okay, morning, everyone. Um, Thursday morning, we're going to do the Tai Chi Paradigm and 108 movement form. But I just want to remind you that on Sunday, about 9:30 or 9:30, we're going to have a Tai Chi class in the back of the school. So some of you that are following, that are way out, I don't expect you to come, but the thing is, our students, the ones that are in the brick and mortar location in Newton, will be able to join us. So hope to see you then, and we can go over some of the things. It's been a while. It'd be nice to see everyone. So we can do that then. It's Father's Day, so if you have to go home by noontime, it should be okay. All right, ready? Hands here and here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. To the side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay? Hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands on your waist. Circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center, cross. Hold your knees. Circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Hands on your waist. Turn. 1, 2. This is neck exercise. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Tilt to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Center, down. 1, 2, 3. Reverse. 1, 2, 3. Center. Hands up, pulling. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, we're going to spread the feet like this, and we're going to turn the shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Okay, turn. Stretch it out. Switch. Just settle into this position. Kind of let go here. Relax. Settle in. Switch. And switch. Switch, straighten the front knee. So we're facing this direction. Fold from the hip. Okay, turn. 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 Center. Okay, shake it out. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands on your waist. Okay, shoulder roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Press. Release. Exhale. Inhale. stop. Hands up, deep breathing. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay, wrists. Reverse. Okay, palms down. Bigger circle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, shake it out. Okay, let's shift our weight from side to side. And this is something that we been working on to try to get our body over that supporting leg and then find that balance point, and the same happens on this side. And then we lift. Switch. And this is golden cockerel, standing on one leg. So this is more of the yang style single leg stance, but it's easier to do, so we just lift the knee up, hold the position for a few seconds, and then switch, and then back. Okay, shake it out. Okay, I'm going to do the leg swing with you. Starting on the right side, we're going to start the hands, get the body twisting, and then kick it in. And center. Let's do the other side. So we're just going right into the swing. Okay, center. South to the side. And center. Okay, switch the other side. We're here like this. Swing. So this is a little quicker than we normally do, mainly so we can just run through the exercises, especially the people that are familiar with them. Okay, center, shake it out. Deep breathing. And silk reeling. So we're here, hold the ball. Okay, switch. Okay, center. Cross the hands. Okay. Open and close. Okay, switch. And center. Okay, next, preparation, circular movements. Okay, center, shake it out. Deep breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So we just went through the series exercise with not a lot of explanation. So if it was too quick for you, you should go back to some of the other archive videos that I went a little bit slower, so you a lot more explanation about the benefits and why you would do them. But typically going through the warm-ups would be like this, just one after another. Once you're familiar with the exercises, then we just run through them because that's really the format. And then we move on to some of the other ones, which is the geometry of position, sort of the standing meditation exercise. So we're in the lower hoop. So geometry of position are the shapes of these different positions. So this is the circle. Clear your thoughts, tongue touches the roof of your mouth, and then we continue from here. Okay, shoulder height. Elbows down. Okay, palms down. And fingertips down. Okay. Hmm. So, what's he talking about? When he say stomach, what's he referring to? His musculature? Abdomen? The muscles in his abdomen? Or, or is he talking about upset stomach? Those are two. Yeah, yeah. So, I can't really, um, yeah. So, anyways, while we're here, we'll just do the deep breath. So, um, from here, we're going to go to carry tiger to the mountain. And when I get clarity on the question, I maybe can respond to that. So, this is carry tiger to the mountain. So, this is still part of the geometry, but then within the geometry positions, we actually have uh, transitions. Yeah. Cra- She has cramps, a knotted up stomach. Oh, so that might be, that's probably a little bit beyond my. Rome. But anyways, when you do breathe, you shouldn't be forcing the movement. So, you shouldn't strain even the musculature uh, involved there. I mean, sometimes cramps are not just on the surface; they're deeper inside. So it could be, in some of the deeper muscles. But the thing is, when we're moving, especially what we're doing here, we're actually moving our abdominal area as well. Now, how you move, because I really don't know exactly what you're referring to. It might be something more chronic than that I'm familiar with. But the thing is, your lower back is probably tight. It's influenced by the back of your leg. So the muscles are tight. You would want to do this kind of a stretch, or this kind of a stretch, or this kind of a stretch. And then moving from side to side, like we do here, will actually work that area too. Now, this is different from movement. When you're moving from side to side, is different from doing sit-ups, where you're making the muscle contract vigorously and then exhausting them, and then sometimes you get pain here because the muscle has been overworked. So that's true of people that do a lot of sit-ups. So if you have problems with that stiffness or that tightness, it's probably not good to do sit-ups or planks or that type of thing. It's better to move. So the things that we're doing when we're turning and twisting, or even lifting, it's just we're using those muscles, but not exactly um, holding them and sustaining them, where they're constantly doing this. That's what fatigues the muscle. So if you're doing sit-ups all the time like this, you're going to have some issues with that. And then breathing, you should relax the abdominal area and relax, because it's still diaphragmatic. If your breath is holding too long, like sometimes in Qigong you sustain those positions, that might not work for you. So you want your inhalation and exhalation to be balanced, but at the same time, don't sustain it too long or feel that pressure that you're pushing down. So that's, you can try that to see what that does to relieve some of that. But even side to side bends that we do, that still works the abdominal muscles, and it works the intercostal muscles. All these muscles that are in this area are there to allow you to move. But if you have cramping and so forth, and so try something like that. Just remember these deep breathing exercises. Just let it go naturally, and let this area relax as much as possible. Okay, now we're forming the fist. Okay, so this is the way we form the fist in the form. So all these exercises, if you haven't picked up on by now, are parts of transitions in our form. So when we're here, this is a bit of a slight turn. We're dealing with motor skill. So with motor skill, you learn to move parts of the body that are not so familiar with as far as twisting and turning. So we do a lot of turning. Actually, we don't do a lot of extreme bending from the waist like this, but we do have that in the stretch, and that's mainly to get the lower back and the hamstrings, because they kind of conflict when we go into our stances. So we're here, strum the lute, vertical elbow to horizontal elbow. We're like this. Flip the shoulders, moving the joints. And sana. Okay, shake it out. Deep breathing. Okay, now we're going to do diagonal flying. Okay. Okay, switch. Okay, deep breathing. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. So listen, that question she had, maybe, if yeah. So, as long as it's nothing more serious like appendicitis or maybe something wrong with the gallbladder, those all would cause some pain in those areas too. And so those she has to get a medical test to figure that out. So, anyways, when we're here, we can start to do the cloud hands. So the cloud hands that we do, sometimes it's more horizontal, as you see in the 24 movement. But here we kind of go into this angular position as we pass through to the circle. So just relax, let it go. So one thing I talk a lot about is releasing tension in your body. So don't use strength to create the movement or excessive strength. It takes a bit of strength, but that strength is really, what defines strength? A strength is based on how severe or how much you put into a muscular contraction. So the more strength you put in is really the tighter you're going to get and more effort you're putting in it. So put effort, but the right amount of effort. That's really what Tai Chi is about, learning to use your strength correctly. So this is cloud hands. Now we've done this where we shift the weight and then we end up here. So we shift the weight and we end up here. So this is called differentiating between substantial and insubstantial. Because when we shift the weight, we want to find that center, and then we shift the weight, we want to find that center, and we can actually swap feet. And that's what happens when we start to move to the left, coordinating the hands and the legs. So it's upper-lower coordination. You're dealing with your appendages, and you're dealing with all the muscles that are involved in creating this movement. So this is going the other way. So in the form, we typically only go to the left, and in the Wu style, we have an additional action which involves pivoting. So we can see without stepping, if we just pivot and just pivot, this would actually help you to develop your pivoting strategy in the form. You see how that is on the ball? Now, if we're in the position like this, we pivot on the heel. So this is the pivoting that we use in the cloud hands to take us in a direction. But between this pivot and this pivot, we go to this position. So we have a toe-heel relationship without the step. So that's basically what happens when we step. See, so that, and this works the lower part of your body. You see, so if you follow that procedure, your feet will be much more agile and coordinated as far as which way to turn and pivot. So, it's this toe-wheel relationship that we talked about in one of the previous videos. So that's footwork, and it's more of the same. Pivoting, stepping, shifting, pivoting, stepping, shifting. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful for the cloud hand movements. Okay, now we're going to pull the hands together and turn. Draw the bow. So this is an alignment. If you look in the mirror, you see fingertips, elbow, straight line from side to side. Okay, so that's your goal, is to get that alignment like drawing a bow. Okay, so drawing a bow is like the archery bow, where you're pulling on the string to pull it back and then release and then release. Okay, next, fan to the back. So we're in this horse stance, cross the hands. Okay, so the one that's on the inside ends up on top. Cross hands on top. Inside, up, and out. So the hand on top goes to this direction, the direction I look into. I cross the hands, look to the right, so they're just alternating movements. So what we're doing is expanding to the side and opening like this. This is fan through the back. Shows up in the form, fan through the back, and we're working this upper shoulder area, the shoulder girdle, and all of this part here, because we lift. And you have to relax the shoulder so it works the front of your body and in the shoulder blade area. So that really gets a lot of things going. And it's an area that's very tight in a lot of people. So we want to work through that rigidity or stiffness to get range of motion. Everything's done slowly so you can control the amount of strength you're putting in. It doesn't take a lot of strength, but it takes some effort. But the thing is, you have to think about releasing and relaxing, and think of aligning. So if you focus more on aligning the movement, the tendency is not to overreach. Okay, so what I mean by reaching is that from here to here, if you just randomly put your hand out there, you might not control this part. But if my hand is in, I'm methodically extending my arm, then my hand will reach its destination without doing that. So just to give you an idea, when you lift your hands, and I want my elbows to be vertical, then this is the vertical elbow. But I could lift my hand like this. And if I lift my hand like this, it's not the movement that I'm looking for, or you're looking for, because I got my hand there, but I didn't control this. So when you control the direction of movement starting from here, then the tendency for the movement to be much better, at least more accurate compared to what you would do by just getting from here to here. Because that could be a number of ways of getting there. We're talking about lifting vertically like this and not like this. So that's where a movement can be distorted. So everything that we do is trying to refine our movements so that we eliminate any erroneous motion. Like over in the horizontal direction, we turn directed by the elbow. If I go like this, and I go like this, I didn't control this, and then you lost the shape. You lost the geometry of position. So maintaining the geometry of position when we go through the form, the vertical, horizontal positions, and relaxing to create the direction of movement from your limbs. And actually, the movement will start in the beginning looking like it's out here, but it's really coming from here. It's coming from the core of your system, your center line. So your body expands and contracts. Same with deep breathing exercise. It's not just getting the hands there. I teach it to fold, unfold, and then expand. So when you're here and you fold and you flip your elbows, that allows you the natural course of action, and it's directed directly in the direction that your elbow dictates. So the elbow will dictate the direction based on where it's pointing. If it's pointing down, your elbow will do that. If it's pointing up, your hand will do that. So it just shows you, like lifting up to grab something from, say, a top shelf. Your tendency is just get your arm up there somehow, and your shoulder might not be in a great position, and then you pick up a can of beans, and on the way down you injure your shoulder. Why? Because you overreached and you weren't in the right position. But if you point your elbow and then you go like this, you're in sort of that position. If you bring it down like this, you would see that's the natural course of the motion. I mean, that's kind of exaggerating, but it just shows you that if my hand is there, it's going to go pretty high. I mean, my elbow's here, it's going to go pretty high. If my elbow's here and you're trying to go up and it's not releasing, then you're going to have a conflict here and you're going to injure your shoulder. And that happens a lot with people that just picks up something from the shelf. We don't change light bulbs as often, which is a good thing because they use LED lights and we don't have to swap them out as often. But it's a chore for some people to undo a light bulb because the shoulder's fatiguing before you even get it to turn. So that's why relaxing the shoulder is so important and getting it up as high as you can. Okay, so let's move on to, okay, did we do raise the hand yet? Okay, so we did that. Let's go into the postures and the form. So we did the Jade Lady work shuttle last time, but we just worked the cloud hands. So let's do the cloud hands the way we do them in the form. Okay, so in the single whip position, we drop the hand. Okay, so there's your first movement. Now when we do that, we want this one to come down here. And then we turn. Okay, so we're here, we turn the body to get the hand here, and then we start to rotate. Okay, we turn here, we begin to rotate, and then this rear foot, or your right foot, starts to pivot. It becomes my rear foot. And then you shift, go to this position. There's the parallel corner position, and you swap the hands. So we went from here to here. Now once we're here, you swap the hands again, and you open the stance, and you pivot, and you shift. Here's your toe. Once the heel touches, you pivot off the heel, and you turn your body. So most of the movement is happening in the lower part of the body because the hands just have to swap out and pivot, swap out, and pivot. Okay? So you see what happens when we shift, we touch down. So there's a corner position here. There's a corner position there. All right? So you have 0, 45, and 45. There's one position. There's the second position. So that's the two points that you have to hit when you make your rotation. Now when we're here, and I went like this, that's how your feet essentially will pivot. Now if I go like this, that's here till it comes to here. And that's how we get here. And we pivot. So as soon as the heel touches down, I pivot. And then I'm going to turn my shoulders, which is really my hips. Now I'm facing that corner. So that's this, right? But it ends up here. And then it ends up here. Now I'm in this leaning position, still facing the corner. My hands are like this, and I open this side, but keeping weight here. So that's really something that takes a bit of control, but at the same time, it's a weight shift. So now that I'm here, I'm back to this position. I change the hands, and I pivot on the heel. Then I pivot on the ball of the foot as I turn my hip. And we step out, and we start to open, and then follow that around. Shift the weight, touch down with the toe, and you plant the heel. And you tee out. That's called the T stance. And then you start to transition across. And eventually, you'll build this sequence of events that become programmed and tied into your coordination. You'll start to build that relationship. And then you're back to here if you want to open into single whip position. Okay? So all of those things seem, so different. But the thing is, it's really one set going this way. That's one set. Then when we step, we have another set. And you can do as many of those as you want, going all the way down the room. Now, when we're here, and we open like this, we open like this, that's actually the same footwork that you use when you finish grasp the sparrow's tail in the form, and you hook your wrist and turn to that corner. If you were to check your weight, that's the position we were just in, and you open the stance and open on the heel. By pivoting on the heel, you have single whip. Okay, so getting into single whip as a footwork is the same as you would do in the cloud hands as a motion. But in the beginning, because that's where you did it in the beginning of the form, by the time you get to cloud hands, you probably didn't recognize it and couldn't draw the correlation that it's essentially the same transition. So while you start to progress through your transitions, identifying the forms, eventually your body will start to recognize the common motion. They kind of put into a category of a specific transition, and then it starts to blend, and eventually you know that's what happens, and that's part of knowing. You start to improve on your movements because your body's picking up. So that's really body intelligence. So that intelligence that you're building in here is actually coming from here. So what's coming from here is, on that motor skill side, and then the information you're feeding it and seeing it is important, because the more you see it, the more mental imagery you capture, and then you draw off of that mental imagery that's probably not very clear in the beginning. But as you start to improve, that focus becomes much more dialed in, and it starts to be clearer and clearer, and then the image starts to form, and you start to replicate what you see. So that's kind of a process, but it's just a natural course of how we learn. And when we get to that point, you can identify with it. So that's cloud hands. When we get the 108 movement form, the cloud hand is slightly different because we have an additional jog in that movement. And I think in the last couple of classes, we brought up that little jog where it shows up in different places. And so they're really another reference point. Okay, so once we get the cloud hands at the end of the form, and we back to single whip, we have the closing movements. So we hold the ball, we flip the hands over, we pivot the foot, 1, 2, and we have a diagonal flying. Okay, so let's review that again. We're here, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, flip it over, that's reversing the ball, pivot, and pivot. And then we're here, that's diagonal flying. Right side, right leg here. Then we bring the hands out like this. So you look at that position, and then we're going to bring this foot in here and step back. Okay. and we shift the weight, and you pivot and bring the hands here. Cross the forearms, step to the side, pivot on the heel, elbows go out, and you finish. So that's closing. Now there's a lot of little things going on there. You know, how are you able to put your feet in the right position is really practicing stability and balance, because there is that control factor where you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's a pivot as you turn your body, right? But we have to reverse. 1, 2. So the lower hand goes up, upper hand goes down. Okay. Again, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. And if we went this way, you would have diagonal flying this way. But because we're going that way, we want to reverse the ball. That's why we do that, and we're on the right side. So that happens in the long form at the end, but it also happens in the middle when we finish the cloud hands and we go into the Jade Lady work shuttle movements and part the horse's mane. So when we cross, find the shoulder width position, open and close. So I'm breaking it down just to see positions. Okay, you're here, you're here, you're here. Okay, so when you're in the diagonal flying, the hands go out to the side, you bring them to the front, you cross, fold the elbows, go out to the side, and press. So that's what happens in the upper body. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. If you blend the movement, then the hands are starting to work together. 1. Now you have to get your weight here in order to turn to here. You have to shift your weight here to balance. You step. You sit back, so that's counterbalance. 3. 4. So the body synchronizes and it's coordinated, but it's counterbalancing and moving in directions. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing throughout the Tai Chi form, is working the movement so that there's this balance in position. So because center of mass is where your body has to change constantly to maintain that balance. So balance is a very important concept in Tai Chi, but this idea of balance is in everything. You know, your daily task has to be somewhat balanced in the day. Otherwise, it becomes extreme, and when it becomes extreme, then you're doing too much of one thing or another, so you feel like the day is, you're a little frazzled because there's no, say doing a lot and then not recovering and not resting, then it becomes one-sided. Being just even resting, you can't sleep 24 hours. You have to sleep as many hours as necessary, and your body wakes up, and then you have to do things, and then you go back to rest and you do things. So if it's constantly doing things for 24 hours, you would just burn out and you become exhausted. So when we're doing movement, it's the same idea. You have to control your time, and that time in the form is the reference, and that's timing again to build balance. So time factor is really something that's very important, and that's something that's it's built into the day, it's built into our movement, it's built into everything as a course of a natural progression. And then on a daily basis, you wake up, you go to sleep, you wake up, you go to, it's just all about timing. So this is timing. This is timing. This is timing. So when we move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So all these little things that are going on to create that action that appears to be seamless becomes that concept. So you can imagine what your brain is doing to figure this out. It doesn't happen immediately, so what you have to do is build the reference over time, and then your body starts to pick up on it. It just moves like it's seamless. Okay, so that's the goal, but that doesn't happen immediately. The process of getting to that point is really the big challenge, but that at the same time, that's the journey. When you go through that process, all the stuff that you have to go through in order to get that to happen is a magnificent thing, but it's also a magnificent benefit. You know, circulation, coordination, building neurons, building understanding, building relaxation. You have breath and movement. You're working the internal and the external. You're working the mind, the body. You're working everything. Your eyes are even working. You know, you have muscles in your eyes that are focusing on the movement and where it's going. And you develop tremendous proprioception, the body knowing itself in space. It's tremendous. You're working the system to learn. You're working your system to analyze your movement. I mean, your brain is going, learning all these different things that, even as you get older, you're retired, you don't use the brain the same way. But when you start to relearn something like this, it's the physical side of learning. So when you learn like this, it makes you more intelligent all around, not just on the physical level, but even in the mental level. So it's a great thing. Okay, let's go through the form, all right, from beginning to end. Grasp the sparrow's tail, right side. You can make the movement clean and distinct. You can make it square, round, and smooth, whichever phase you're working through in your learning, shifting and turning and setting up. Everything is a setup. The better your setup, the better the execution. Now we have 4 brush knee. That was 1. We're going to do 2 on the right side. Then we carry on and move on to the left side. And we only do it once on the left. Strum the lute. Close the door. Form the fists. Step up and punch. Divert, block, and punch. Now we go back to neutral. Okay. Fist on the elbow that leads us into repulse the monkey. And it's done 3 times. And we do 2 left sides and repulse the monkey. And here we hold hold the ball. This is the second way to hold the ball. And we twist and we step up, diagonal flying. Sit back, center line, toe in, up and down, step forward, fan through the back. So that's the same fan through the back that we have as the final position in the exercise. Now here we turn, stroke down, invert the hand, parry and punch. Form the fist, step up, punch, infinity sign. It's called, that's divert, block, and punch. Leopard and tiger springs to mount. That's your double hand push, square and parallel, right? Now you bring it down, carry tiger to the mountain. Go to the back corner. So now if you're facing me, it's not mirror image now. This is actually opposite, because when you're doing the form, the mirror image is confusing. It's not mirror. You should be doing it actually following me from the back. Now we have left side grasp the sparrow's tail. And we have the single whip again on this side. This is your left side single whip. And you follow the same footwork on this side, but in the opposite direction. Then we're going to do the hold the ball and reverse the ball here. And we reverse the ball. We have that pivot. And then we have the diagonal flying here. Okay, so we have the reverse the ball there. We have the pot the horse's mane here twice. This is your left side. We step up to neutral. Stroke down, bring the back hand over the top, hold the ball again, and pot the horse mane. Now we're going to cross over to this corner. 1, 2, Jade Lady work shuttle. Okay, great. Next one, we're going to go over this side. Jade Lady work shuttle. And which side is this? This is your right side, Jade Lady, because it's your right foot forward. Hook your wrist. Now we're back to here. So that transition is just like after grasp the sparrow's tail, also setting up, and this footwork is just like the cloud hand movements. So you hear 1, 2, 3, and 4. Turn your palm out, put your hand here, hook your wrist, go into the corner like you came off of grasp the sparrow's tail, and we open again, the same footwork, closing movements. Flip it over. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you notice throughout the closing movements, there's constant upper body movement, lower body movement, shifting of weight, touching down with the toe, placing the heel. All of this stuff is happening spontaneously, but because the body picks up and it begins to know. So knowing is not knowing when you start out, but eventually it's all knowing. All right, deep breathing, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So that's it for the Tai Chi Paradigm group. And then if you continue into 108, you can follow. If you have time, you can continue to just see what else is being offered in the 108 movement form. So let's go from the beginning this time. Go from the 108 movement, starting with the opening, which is the same as the Tai Chi Paradigm form. So this we can get right through. So this is doing the second time. And we're here. Grasp the sparrow's tail. Single whip. Hold the ball. Going through the long form is more of the same. The idea is of integration becomes more and more understood, and you start to blend. You start to blend the movements, and you feel much more relaxed. That's part of building your level of confidence that you're beginning to recognize and sort of formatting it into your body. And we strum the lute, close the door, form the fists, divert, block, and punch. Leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Carry tiger to the mountain. Cross the hands. Brush knee, oblique. So the obliques are done twice in the form like a lot of the other sections. There's just a repeat of the same motions, maybe a couple of directional changes here and there. Grasp the sparrow's tail. Same grasp the sparrow's tail, same single whip, but here we're in the corner though instead of the front. Then we're going to pivot around to get our feet in position so that we can find fist under elbow. The hands are working together. This is repulse the monkey again. Repulse the monkey, the full term is retreat and repulse the monkey. So retreating is the opposite of advancing forward. So to retreat, you step backwards. Lower hoop, lift, open the stance, go down into the stance, 1, 2, hold the ball. That's another way of holding the ball. So we're going from here to here, and then we do this. Then we shift, step up, and here's your repeat. That's stepping up and raise the hand for the second time. And we do this again. Now we're going to turn just like we were going to set up for brush knee, and we are going to do a brush knee one time. Then we're going to do insert the needle. Okay, insert the needle to the bottom of the C. That just designates as a direction going down. Now we stroke down, parry, and punch. Okay, then we're going to step backwards. Retreat, divert, block, and punch. 1, 2, 3. Then we step forward. Stepping forward is advancing as a step. Then we're at single whip. Here's the cloud hands. So I'm going to step back a little. Okay, so we begin cloud hands. And we pivot just like going to diagonal flying, but we shift into that corner, and we turn back to the front. So that's the little maneuver that we have in the cloud hands in the 108 movement sequence. So you see, there is that hip jog, and then we switch to here, and that's the hip jog. And we're back to here. And we're here to single whip again. So single whip is a good starting point for a lot of the movements. Now we're into the kicks. 1, 2, that's like a reverse the ball. Flip the hands, fold the elbows. Now this is a toe kick, using the toe, or the instep kick sometimes it's called. So using the top of your foot or the tip of your toe. When we turn, we use the sole of the foot and the heel, and it's called a heel kick, left side. Then we go to a brush knee, right side push. So this is the movements in the 108 movement form that include the kicks. So we're going to turn out and do the planting punch. So that's going down like that. Turn, parry, and punch. Step up, setting up. It's like a palm strikes face. Reverse the hands, or set up to hold the ball. Flip. This is just like the first transition when we did the first kick, but this time, this is a step, the cross behind, to beat, to horse stance, to beat the tiger. Looks something like Jade Lady Work Shuttle, but the hand position would be like this for beat the tiger right. We open the hand, bring it down. You don't have to do the small fist formation on the right side, but you can as an option, and we're here. So this is turning. Now we're going to drop it to lower hoop. Cross the forearms, level the forearms, lift the knee to a heel kick right side. Now we're going to bring it down, 2 punches to the ears, about the width of your forehead, about eye level or temple level. Then bring your left hand on top, flip it over, fold the elbows, open as a potting leg, crisscross toe, heel, toe. And I flip my hands on the way around, which is reversing. I fold my elbows, I lift my knee, I aim to the left corner, and I'm going to bring it back to the center. And then stroke down, parry, and punch. And we form the fist and repeat. That whole series is repeated again from here. This is the same series we had in the early part of the form. Leopard and tiger springs to mountain. Carry tiger to the mountain again. And we cross the forearms. And now we're going to do the obliques for the second time. So that's what I mean by the form being done twice. Because here we are repeating these movements. So you know it in the early part of the form. Now you just repeat that and you recognize all of these movements. So you just have to get through this. And instead of going to that corner with the single whip, we're going to go all the way to the front. And we do this because we want to reverse the ball and do the right side diagonal flying. Then we're going to set up our pot the horse's mane. Okay? And we're going to do it twice here. So it looks like we did pot the horse's mane 3 times, but one of those was the diagonal flying. Then we step up, and we do this on this side. We only do 1. We step up again, then we're going to do 2 more. So you have 5 pot the horse's mane. 1, 2. So these are the last 2. 4 and 5 would be right here. Then we're going to cross corner. 1, 2, forward, back, turn, and finish. Pivot, pivot. Now my toe now is pointing to that corner, and I continue around, and I cross step. So that's like the cross step in the Jade Lady Work Shuttle in the Paradigm after the pivot. So that's something you're familiar with. Then we're going to stroke down here and do a pot the horse's mane. So from pot the horse's mane, same cross corner, Jade Lady Work Shuttle. So you're familiar with that because that's what happens in the very beginning. You're in pot the horse's mane and you cross corner. So then we pivot and point this toe again over to that corner, walk toward that corner, and we're in the right stance, right side Jade Lady Work Shuttle. And then we want to go to neutral and finish it off with grass the sparrow's tail. And that's going to bring us all the way to the front. For the next set of cloud hands, so we're here, and we're going to go like this. 1, 2, 3. Again, this is another set. Here's the jog. Step. Step. So let me move this way a little before I lose the camera. Then I'm here, and then I hook, okay? Now we're back to single whip. Next we have downward posture. We pass through like this. Snake sticks out tongue. Okay, so snake sticks out tongue. You're coming from here. You go to neutral. You bring this hand down. This hand comes to here, and we go like that. So you see what I did there is when I go like this, I drop my elbow first, and I thrust directly toward the center. Because if you're here, and I go like this, and then you go like this, that's that reaching thing that I was talking about, that if I want to go to point from here to here, I don't just go like that. I have to turn and then time the drop on the back side so that I can bring the form, the hand right through this, just like you're throwing a punch. But you're actually doing a thrust. This is the snake sticking out the tongue. Then I'm going to invert the hand, pull down, and reach down, go up to a cross hand position with the right hand on the outside, lift this knee, and separate. That's golden cockerel. Now the palm is up. As I thrust and I kick, and I come up. Then we go to neutral, step down, round out, repulse the monkey. That's your left side. Same, we're going to the right. And we're going to the left. So that's the second set of repulse the monkey. The second time we're going to turn carry tiger to the mountain to take us into the other side. Okay, hold the ball. And we're going to repeat this again to do the second insert needle. There's one brush knee, second insert the needle. So as you're following the form, you're starting to recognize some of the common groupings of movement. Okay, this time we step forward. So last time we stepped backwards, so that's a different transition. The only direction is same hand movement, step up again. Grasp the sparrow's tail. Then we're going to turn to single whip, and we're going to do the last set of cloud hands. Okay, hold the ball, shift and flip the hands in diagonal flying. Okay, so we're here. Okay, so let's try that again, right? So, hold the ball, shift, shift, okay, and cloud hands. So that's moving again to here. 1, 2. So that's where it could be a little confusing going to the diagonal. But just remember, we have 3 sets of cloud hands in this form. And what follows each set, is if you can distinguish that, then you practice the section that's closest to the end, then you can work those movements. Now when we're here, we're going to do palm strikes face. So this is a setup like in the kick, but the thing is we change to this. Okay, so that's palm strikes face. So we're here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's try that one more time. 1, 2, 3. Then we turn. So when we turn, this hand ends up here. and this hand ends up on this side of the shoulder. The leg goes up, and you're going to slap the foot and then go down, and then now we're on the left side brush knee. So the left side brush knee follows a single lotus kick. Single lotus means this hand hits that foot, one hand, one foot, okay? And then we're at the brush knee. Now we're going to sit back, go forward again, and now we're going to do the planting punch. We step up again to grasp the sparrow's tail. So that's what happens moving near the end of the form. It's a lot of stepping forward. Now there's no more cloud hands, but we have another downward posture. This is the final downward posture, taking us to the end. Squat down, step up, and we have the cross hand again, but this time just stays cross hand. It's called 7-star. We retreat, turn, step up, palm strikes face, turn, change the hand. So you come through the center. Now, both hands are going to hit that front foot like this. This is called double lotus kick. So you slap, and then you're here, draw bow to shoot tiger. Then we step up. Here's that repeat again. Here's 1, 2, 3. Turn, 1, 2, palm strikes face, flip it over, high pat the horse, same as when we do the kicks, but we're not kicking, we're just using the high pat the horse transition to take us another step forward to grasp the sparrow's tail, taking us to single whip again. And here we close the form. Same closing as we had in the Tai Chi Paradigm. So if you know it in the Tai Chi Paradigm, then when you get to the end of the form, you already learned it, and you can complete the 108 movement form. All right, deep breathing. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, and one more. Inhale, exhale. So Lucian, what time is it? Okay, so any questions up to that point? Okay, so you can see the form is really made up of, say, using guidelines, cloud hands. After the first set of cloud hands, what would you have? Just think about what happens. It would be the kicks. So saying, when you transition from the Tai Chi Paradigm to your first time doing the 108 movement, what we call it the long form, then you have the obliques. That's an add-on in the traditional form. And then right after the first set of cloud hands, you have your kicks. So there's about 9 different movements there that are different. One of those is a transition, takes you to beat the tiger, and you have your 2 punches to the air, and in between you have a series of kicks. So you have the 2-step kicks. The first 2 kicks are toe kicks. The turnaround, the first one is a left heel kick. Then you turn back around, and you would end up doing a series of movement with that leg movement that's really like potting leg, but it's really a step, and that ends up in 2 punches to the air. Then you finish it off with a couple of potting leg movements, left and right potting legs. The potting leg, the step after the potting leg, as you cross over, you notice when you cross over, this foot is on the ball, and then this one we will pivot on the heel, and then this one you would spin out on your toe. So it's a crossover, a toe, heel, toe. Okay, so that's the breakdown. It's called a pedaling step to here. And then you would do your whichever movement is next, which is, the right potting leg. So that's where the hip flexibility comes from. Hip flexibility, this is a drill you can do to get that pivoting movement to happen. And that's opening your hips and closing your hips. Okay, so that's an exercise you can do to open and close the hips. But you can use that also to do when you toe out and step. Now the amount you toe out when you're stepping forward is only 45 degrees. In this case, and we're turning like this, it becomes a lot bigger. Say we're going to the twist step, okay? So say in Repulse the Monkey, and we go to low hoop and we twist, we have to turn this foot all the way to that corner and then square the hips to there. And then that's where we would open up and then go back into this stance. So if this foot is set up at 45, then you're already into your horse stance position. So that's where the foot work is very important. So we have this concept we call the 5 coordinations: hand, eye, body, waist, and stance. Okay, hand-eye coordination. Body is your body form and posture, right? So you have different postures in the long form, or any of the forms have a series. We have 37 different postures. So that's the body form. Then the waist. The waist is your torso. And moving your torso when you turn and twist is what the waist movement is. Because in order to get your hands and legs to be coordinated, you have to tie through your torso. And the torso and the hand and leg movements become the upper-lower coordination. Okay, then between torso movement and upper-lower coordination, it brings you to the 5th one, which is legs. Okay, hand, eye, body, stance. Okay, so your stance work is your legs. So stance work is, the different stances: empty stance, archery stance, horse stance, cross stance, which is the pivoting or stepping. Then you have your downward posture stance. So those are all part of it. In the empty stance, you have 2 variations. You have this one and you have this one, which is really when you bring the foot back, it's to check your weight before doing another maneuver. So if you're working toward building balance and I toe out like this, you pass through center if you want to pause and then step forward. That will take you into the forward position by breaking it into 2 motions, this and this. So this is important. When you're facing that corner and then I want to face 90 degrees, I have to pivot my hip in order to get the square position. Otherwise, if you don't pivot your hip, and you're going to have a little trouble getting your foot over to here because this is holding you back. That's where the hip isn't releasing. So you have to release your hips, many, many times throughout the form in order. In fact, the hips are constantly opening and closing throughout your movements, which people not really paying attention to that in the beginning. Your crescent kicks, your outside kicks, it's all about where the hips are going. So the hip opening and closing is important, and twisting of the feet, going inward. So here's the drill to take us around to the other side. So when we're moving, we have to learn to pivot our feet and control the angle of that so that we can take us into the correct direction. So, not only does it take you into that direction, but you're pivoting your hip. So why that's so important is because the muscles that take your foot over there or to the outside direction has to engage in order to pull that joint around. So on that note, hopefully that was helpful. So don't forget, Sunday around 9:30, we're going to start a Tai Chi class. We'll run through the form, get to reconnect, and then plan to open on June 30th, just before July begins. So that's the time frame that we have as the 3rd phase. So see you then. Subscribe, share it with your friends. We'll talk to you later.